Good morning! We are now in Death Valley after 8 hours of intense driving last night.
And it's such a different sight from what we're used to. Something completely new and completely different for us.
It looks like, you know, those shows where you see cowboys running around and stuff, but there are no cowboys here, but the buildings look exactly the same.
Yeah! That's what we gotta say.
And we have a lot of things to see today, so let's go! We'll be heading on our horses and giddy up!
Yes, let's go!
In the second stop of our US road trip, we'll be spending a day exploring Death Valley. With limited daylight in winter, we carefully selected 5 locations to visit. Most of these attractions do not require much hiking or walking, but we couldn't miss out on a 2 to 3 hour trail that is highly rated online. We're here at the first point of our Death Valley trail?
Drive-through.
This is the Zabriskie point, and it is a 5 minutes walk from the car park. A really gentle incline, but it's really worth the views. Based on my Google research, this is the top point to be in Death Valley.
There's lots of beautiful stone structures around, you can see.
Yeah, and it's really sunny out now, so you can actually enjoy the colors of the stones and the rocks in its full glory.
Out in the distance, there are some people hiking through the rocks. So that's really cool. I wish we had more time to do that.
We're gonna start at the other side of the trail and get a shortcut because we don't have that much time to go through the whole thing.
Yeah, that's why it's a drive-through.
Yeah, gonna enjoy this a little bit and we're gonna head off. There was a clear path just to go up, but Nick just wants to rock climb. I don't know why he wants to make things so difficult in the morning. The weather in Death Valley is actually pretty chilly and cooling when we visited towards the end of December, with temperatures ranging between 3 to 18 degrees Celsius. It's a perfect weather for a hike at midday, which is where we'll be heading to next. We took a 10-minute drive and now we're at the other side of the trail start, which is the Golden Canyon Trail. It's gonna be 2 miles. Was it 2 miles or 4 miles? I think it's 2 hours.
Wait.
The starting point looks really cool already. It's a canyon looking thing. Looks pretty cool.
We've now arrived at the Golden Canyon Trailhead. It's a 2.4 kilometer short hike. And from the signboard, it says that it's Death Valley's most famous trail. But honestly, looking at this, my first thought is...
Where are the mines?
No. Is it difficult to climb? Do you think I can climb this? I can't sure I can do this one.
I think you can. Not too bad. Maybe you can try later.
No, let's not disturb precious geological structures.
We're gonna see a red cathedral, which I think is like a red rock structure thing. Yeah, so I think that's gonna be quite cool.
Yeah, and looking at the signboards, they did say do keep a watch out for rattlesnakes, scorpions, and I'm not too sure what else. There were coyotes and road runners. Super excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll see. As much as Nick likes seeking out animals, this is actually not recommended. When it's hot, rattlesnakes and other animals find sheltered places to hide, such as this hole in the rock. Rattlesnakes aren't actually aggressive unless threatened or frightened, so if we see them, we need to back off and give them some space to escape. As a rule of thumb, do not place your hands or feet in places where you can't see. That's true. You can tell these structures are actually really massive. Just look at how small Nick looks compared to everything around him. What do you think it is? It's about 15 minutes in and we've already got a really nice view of the red cathedral to the back.
Hot though.
It's a little bit hot. Nick's hiding in the shade, but the sun is where things look glorious, right? The path is pretty flat and straightforward, so one good thing is that you won't get lost. However, there's not much shelter from the sun, so please put your sunscreen, wear a cap, and stay hydrated. We've hit a midpoint. This one goes to the Zabriskie point.
Nick's not going that way, he's just curious about the sign. We're going to the Red Cathedral, which is right up ahead this way. How's it going?
It's hot, terribly hot. I thought we were here in winter, but I think winter is not cold enough.
Okay, but winter is the best weather to visit Death Valley.
Yeah.
And apparently this is when it is the most crowded.
As we near the Red Cathedral, the path actually becomes much narrower and there is more rocky obstacles to overcome. It's still doable and it's fun climbing over the rocks. At this point, we have probably hiked for almost an hour. The terrain changes significantly as we enter this small arch.
So cramped here. Exhausting.
And it's not the only one.
Oh my gosh.
There's so many more up in front.
Found the shortcut.
She takes the road less traveled. Oh, be careful.
Did you hit your head?
No, I hit my shoulder.
Oh,
Oh, got me fluffy already.
yeah, it's getting narrower and narrower.
At the last bit of the hike, we start scrabbling over rocks. For us, this was the best bit after mindlessly walking for over an hour. But it's definitely not for everyone. If you decide to do it, do note that the space between the rocks is so narrow, it's only enough for one person. Take your time with this.
Well, we've now reached the really tough part of the hike. Where we're just crawling through different valleys and walking on really uneven rock. But wow, look at the view. It's looking beautiful.
We're here at the Red Cathedral.
Yeah.
It's actually right behind the camera, but look at these views. I think it's amazing.
Super pretty, got really nice panoramic views of the area. You can see all the way, and I think there's a lake. Is it a salt lake? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, so cool. At the end of this trail is a really steep route, so you really gotta be careful because it's very slippery.
Yeah, it was just far more challenging than I thought it would be. Very different from the start of the trail where it was wide open, where it was flat. Yeah, super easy. Then we hit this part where after you go through this little arch, wow, everything changes. It's like you gotta start scrabbling on rocks, taking big steps, being careful of where you step on. Yeah, but I think these parts of the trail are what are really memorable. It's what's really interesting about this hike. But the Red Cathedral is actually right behind us. It's right here. Wow. Not so red in person actually.
Yeah, up front it doesn't seem super red.
Yeah. I think it's time for us to head on down and go on to our next trail. I want to go touch the Red Cathedral once. It's like, you know, when you touch all the golden statues around, maybe this Red Cathedral will give you some good luck.
This is the last bit of steep climb at the foot of the Red Cathedral. The ground here is really smooth, so please be careful and take it slow if you decide to go up. The views were superb though, so we were so glad we did it. We took the same route back to pick up the car, and after 20 minutes of driving, we arrived at the lowest point in the whole of North America, the Badwater Basin.
Welcome to Badwater Basin.
We're now here at the Badwater Basin.
It's a really large expanse of a salt flat. You can see it all the way into the distance, and it's just white everywhere. These are the salt crystals. But we're actually about 80 meters below the sea level here.
In the distance, you can actually see where the sea level is. So they actually have a marker over there, and we're just under that.
The boardwalk and pools are actually right by the car park.
Looks a bit
But
like
you can
snow.
actually walk further into the salt flats,
No, not snow
where
at
there
all.
is a large expanse of salt water, which offers great reflections of the mountains and sky.
So we walked to the end of the saltwater flats. You can see so many people behind me, and everyone's just taking their turn to play in the salt. There's super large crystals of salt on your feet. It's almost like snow or sand. So this is a pretty cool sight. It was a really short walk, 5 minutes. I think it's really nice to see. Is this worth it?
Going to our next location, and that will be the Artist's Drive. It's a drive-through with really interesting colored rocks. So let's go.
Let's go. Oh my god, I got like so much salt on my hand.
Yuck. How does it taste?
It's honestly not as salty as table salt. Not even close actually. Yeah. But maybe not the best idea to eat too much of this.
The walk back itself is really amazing as well. I can't believe such a place exists on Earth. Heading back in the direction that we came, we went through the Artist Drive, which is a drive-through road with colourful rainbow rocks.
We're on the Artist Drive. I think this is the Artist Palette. So at the back you can actually see quite a number of colourful rocks. There's like green.
Brown.
It looks
Other
pretty.
brown.
Yeah, it looks okay under the sun. Much better with the sun, thank God.
Yeah.
I think we made a mistake.
Just to give you some context, there is actually a sightseeing spot called the Artist Palette. A few minutes after driving into Artist Drive, you will actually come across a parking area with a short but steep slope to a lookout point. There was no data in the park and thus we thought that was the Artist Palette. But we were wrong. Artist Palette is actually a 10 to 15 minute drive after turning into the Artist Drive and is right next to a car park. Don't make the same mistake as us.
So just now we were not at the Artist Palette. This is the Artist Palette. At the back you can actually see really nice coloured rocks. I think it's a lot more vibrant than the previous one.
Yeah, it's super cool. The colors come from different minerals, from titanium, zinc, iron, and a lot more. So it's really, really colorful. And I think we just missed the timing where the sun set, because otherwise the sun will hit it very nicely.
That's a pity, but I can imagine how it looked with the colours and the sun on it.
The remaining sections of the Artist Drive is actually really impressive. But it is a narrow one-way road, so please don't stop anywhere along the way. The person behind you may not be able to brake in time. Also, if you are driving a RV or long vehicle, please note that vehicles over 25 feet or 8 meters are actually strictly prohibited on the Artist Drive due to the sharp dips and turns. Next up, an hour drive to our last stop, which is the Mesquite Flat
We're here
Sand
at the
Dunes.
sand dunes.
And we are firmly in the sand.
Woo! Looks really cool. Oh wow! In the distance, you can see the sand dunes were untouched.
Yeah.
Again, the sand dunes are actually right next to the car park, so there is no need to walk too far if you don't want to.
I kind of want to climb this.
Crazy guy. So exhausting.
We just walked through the Mesquite sand dunes. It's really quite nice. Lots of beautiful dunes around, and the landscape around the area is just really, really pretty.
I think it's really nice how there's so many like sand dunes around. But I think it's actually quite a small patch of land.
I think it's really cool. The sand dunes are around the area, and then bordering the sand dunes are the mountains, the salt lake.
This marks the end of our Death Valley adventures. It's been really fun. Today has been really exciting. We did like hikes, we saw sand dunes, we saw saltwater lake. Yeah.
And everything just looked quite different from each other. They were all quite unique landscapes. Yeah, I think it's really nice.
Before we close up this episode, we would like to remind you guys that you should pack sufficient food and water because there isn't any convenience stores within Death Valley. We will also recommend bringing a thermal flask full of ice for your drinks because the weather can be really hot during noontime. Next up, we'll be heading over to the Valley of Fire.